Hello, dear friends, soul-seeking peace in the quiet of the night. Welcome to my channel, a place where gentle stories are told to lull you into sweet dreams. I know that sometimes sleep doesn't come easily. There are nights when the mind drifts endlessly, silent thoughts weaving their way in, making it hard to rest. But don't worry, I'm here with you, ready to share stories that are both mysterious and calming to help you relax and gently fall asleep. In episode 4 of this bedtime storytelling journey, we'll take flight with the bees, nature's tiny architects. You'll discover their astonishing numbers on Earth, the collective weight of the entire bee kingdom, the appearance of the world's largest bee, and their remarkable ability to navigate home with pinpoint accuracy. We'll also explore what might happen if bees disappeared, and the secret of how they survived the freezing days of winter. Let your mind unwind and let the soft buzzing of the bees carry you into a sweet dream, where nature whispers its timeless mysteries. Wishing you a peaceful journey into the story of the night. 100 million years of dominance. The power of bees. Right now, you are living alongside a civilization of immense scale, with a population 3 million times larger than the total number of humans on Earth. But what's even more astonishing is that this civilization has existed for 100,000,005 years, outlasting any species that has ever dominated the planet. We interact with them every day, rely on them for our survival, yet they are completely unaware of our existence. No, this isn't some mysterious bacteria. These creatures have a complex social system with occupational hierarchies, rules, and even developmental strategies. They know how to educate their young, care for their offspring, make collective decisions, and live by a strict code that has endured for millions of years. Think this is a science fiction story? Not at all. We're talking about bees, tiny creatures with an astonishing collective intelligence. In this video, you'll discover how many bees exist on Earth, how much they weigh if gathered together, what the world's largest bee looks like, and where it lives, how bees navigate back to their hive with near-perfect accuracy, what would happen to humanity if bees disappeared, and finally, what bees do during winter. You might think bees are just a small part of the animal kingdom, but in reality, over 20,000 species of bees exist on Earth, more than a combined total of mammal and bird species. The global population of all bee species is estimated at around 20 quintillion. Let me repeat. This is a minimum estimate based on the most conservative calculations. The actual number could be far greater. Bees are found almost everywhere on Earth where flowers bloom. They inhabit every continent except Antarctica. Every day, bees pollinate over 1 trillion flowers worldwide. Not all bee species live in colonies or store honey for later use. In fact, only a few do. Honeybees are among the rare species with highly social behaviors, while most bees live solitary lives. So why do bees make honey and collect pollen? It's simple. Bees eat honey and pollen. Pollen provides protein, while honey supplies carbohydrates. Does this mean that when humans harvest honey, they're stealing food from bees? In a way, yes. But this is likely one of the smallest ethical dilemmas in human-animal relationships. Thanks to human beekeeping, the number of bees today is far greater than it would have been without selective breeding for honey production. So, humans aren't exactly enemies of bees. But bees do have real enemies. As a child, you might have learned from cartoons that wasps are the worst foes of bees. That's true, but wasps are also their closest relatives, much like ants. In fact, Ants and bees are more closely related to wasps than humans are to chimpanzees. Emerging in the early Cretaceous period, about 105 million years ago, bees and ants have become the most successful social insects in the world. They've dominated numerous terrestrial ecosystems, outliving dinosaurs and many other species, while profoundly impacting the global environment. A single honeybee can produce about 1 teaspoon of honey in its lifetime. To produce a 9.5-ounce jar of honey, 683 bees must complete the following tasks: visit approximately 4.5 million flowers, bring nectar back to hive, and process about 6 pounds of nectar. And remember, that's just for a small jar of honey. To produce 2.2 pounds of honey, bees need to visit 48 million flowers. Surely you won't think honey is expensive anymore, will you? Each beehive operates like a true factory, with an average workforce of up to 50,000 individuals. An average honeybee colony weighs between 13 and 18 pounds, and calling a factory is no exaggeration. Tens of thousands of bees work in the hive daily, each with a distinct role throughout its life. Nearly every worker bee takes on different tasks, from cleaning and caring for larvae to building the hive, guarding the entrance, and the task we know best, pollinating flowers. In a bee colony, the queen bee is the most critical and essential member. The survival or decline of the entire colony depends on her. Each colony typically has only one queen, and the tens of thousands of other bees are her offspring. However, in rare transitional phases, there may be 2 queens, an old and a young one, or a hybrid colony. The queen is the only fully reproductive female in the hive, and the only one capable of laying eggs. This is her sole task for life. So, who are the worker bees? Are they male? No. They're also female, but their reproductive functions are suppressed. Worker bees are the primary labor force of the colony, the engine that keeps this factory running. They perform every necessary task and are considered some of the hardest working creatures on the planet. It's no wonder bees are a symbol of dedication. It's their very nature. Now, let's explore the anatomy of a bee. Up close, a bee looks like a perfect machine, especially under a microscope, a sophisticated mechanism with features that seem otherworldly. And there's a reason for that. A bee's body is protected by a hard exoskeleton made of chitin. Interestingly, in this regard, bees have more in common with fungi than with humans. No joke. Chitin is also found in fungal cell walls. A bee's body consists of 3 parts: the head, thorax, and abdomen. Fur covers the entire body, dense in some areas. The body parts are connected by thin, elastic membranes. On the head, bees have 5 eyes. Yes, you heard that right. They have 2 large compound eyes with prismatic structure and 3 smaller, less noticeable simple eyes on top of the head. You'll soon discover how bees see the world with this extraordinary visual system. Additionally, bees have 2 fascinating antennae on their heads. Each antenna is made up of segments, 11 in females and 12 in males. You've likely seen bees use their antennae to touch things around them, but they're not just for touch. Their true function will surprise you. In front of the mouth, a narrow strip of chitin forms the upper lip, with mandibles on either side, while the lower lip and a pair of maxillae form proboscis for sucking nectar. The abdomen of female bees is divided into 6 segments, while males have 7. Bees have 4 wings, not 2 as many assume, formed during the pupal stage. The front wings are larger, while the hind wings are smaller. When flying, the front and hind wings lock together into a single plane using tiny hooks on the front edge of the hind wings. This is why bees often appear to have only two wings. When they land, these hooks disengage, allowing the wings to fold along the body. The number of hooks ranges from 17 to 28. Bees can fly at speeds of up to 40 miles per hour when unloaded and 12 to 18 miles per hour when carrying a load, with a wing beat frequency of 200 to 250 times per second. They can travel 1.8 to 2.5 miles from their hive, sometimes much farther. A bee's compound eyes consist of thousands of tiny lenses called facets. The queen has the fewest, around 3,000 to 4,000. Worker bees, needing better vision, have about 5,000 facets per eye, totaling 10,000. Male bees have the sharpest vision. Regarding color, bees cannot see red as humans do, but they can distinguish yellow, blue, and ultraviolet UV light. Their antennae are not just for touch, as many assume. In fact, they are olfactory organs. Bees don't breathe air like we do. Air enters their bodies through spiracles. Thus, they don't smell with a nose, but use specialized olfactory pores on their antennae to detect scents. How sensitive is their sense of smell? Enough to make anyone jealous. While comparing olfactory systems is challenging, bee sensitivity rivals that of trained sniffer dogs. And if they have a sense of smell, do they have taste? Yes. Bees' taste sensors are not only in their mouths, but also on their proboscis, antennae, and even their feet. Imagine if humans had this ability. Holding a burger for a few minutes and tasting it fully. We'd probably eat less, and nutritionists would be out of jobs. Do bees have ears? Yes, but not like ours. Instead of ears, bees sense vibrations through specialized organs on parts of their thorax, abdomen, and the undersides of their front legs. They also have sensors for temperature, humidity, and CO2 levels, all located on their antennae. Finally, there's something bees don't use to sense the world but can make others feel quite distinctly. Their stinger. A bee's stinger isn't just a needle. It's a complex system with two venom glands, a venom sac, and a 0.08-inch barbed stinger. Because of the barbs, the stinger often gets stuck in the victim's skin. When provoked, a bee stings its enemy, then instinctively tries to fly away. As a result, the stinger, venom sac, and part of its gut are ripped out, leading to the bee's death. Even after detaching, the stinger continues to contract for a time, pumping more venom into the wound. Not a pleasant sight. For those not allergic, a single bee sting may be painful but not dangerous. However, angering an entire colony is another story. 500 stings can hospitalize a healthy person, and 1,000 can be fatal. For those allergic, even one sting can cause anaphylactic shock, threatening life. About 7% of the population is allergic to bee venom. However, bees aren't as aggressive as many think. Under normal conditions, they don't care about humans. If you don't bother them, they won't bother you. And one more thing. Male bees are completely harmless. Even if they wanted to, they couldn't hurt you. They lack stingers. Like many insects, bees go through 4 developmental stages: egg, larva, pupa, and adult. But how does this remarkable transformation happen? Unlike a butterfly's metamorphosis, a bee's life cycle requires tight coordination within the colony. It all begins when the queen lays eggs in individual cells in the hive. There are 2 types of eggs. Fertilized eggs become workers or queens, while unfertilized eggs develop into males. Each type of bee has a different development timeline. Queens take 16 days to mature. Workers take 21 days, about a third longer than queens, and males take 24 days, the longest of the three. After 3 days, eggs hatch into larvae. Healthy larvae are white and glossy under light. They grow rapidly, eating around the clock. In the first few days, worker bees feed larvae royal jelly, a nutrient-rich white substance produced by their hypopharyngeal glands. The composition of royal jelly varies by larva type. For a one-day-old worker larvae, royal jelly contains up to 70% protein by dry weight, but less sugar and fat. By 3 to 5 days old, the protein content drops by half, while sugar content increases due to stored honey. For male larvae, royal jelly contains about 60% protein. As they grow, larvae molt 5 times, increasing in size 1,500 times from their newly hatched state. After 5 days, workers seal the cell containing the larva. Inside, the larva continues developing, gradually transforming into a pupa, preparing for the final stage before adulthood. During the pupal stage, the larva transforms into an adult bee, with wings, legs, and eyes forming. Eye color changes gradually, starting pink, then turning purple, and finally becoming black. Fur also grows on the body. The pupal stage lasts 12 days, with the insect encased in its cocoon for up to 9 days. During this time, it receives no additional food, relying on reserves accumulated over previous 8 days. Once fully developed, the bee chews through the wax cap and joins a colony. Queens and males develop similarly to workers, differing only in nutrition and development time. Depending on whether a queen, worker, or male is born, their lives are entirely different, as nature has programmed a distinct path for each. Every fertilized egg has a potential to become a queen, but which egg develops into a queen depends largely on the workers. They decide which cells will nurture a queen and how to care for them. Queens may leave the hive multiple times to mate with several males, ensuring genetic diversity. To avoid inbreeding, queens fly far from the hive, avoiding males from their own colony. Among social insects, queens have some of the highest mating frequencies, rivaling certain nomadic ant species. For the lucky males that mate, it's over as soon as it begins, literally. When a male catches up to the queen, it extends its reproductive organ, inserts it into her abdomen, and releases all its sperm under immense pressure. The male essentially depletes its bodily fluids in a powerful fluid explosion, sometimes audible to the human ear. Immediately after, the male's abdomen tears open, its reproductive organ detaches, and remains a queen, and the male falls to the ground dead. Minutes later, the next male arrives, removes the previous male's organ, and meets the same grim fate. Up to 10 males may die this way in succession. But for the queen, this is just the beginning. She now carries a priceless treasure, the sperm of dozens of males. This is critical, as the queen mates only once in her life, storing the sperm to fertilize eggs throughout her remaining years. After successfully mating and returning to hive, the queen begins laying eggs and continues doing so relentlessly until the end of her life. She lays 1 egg per cell, moving methodically from one to the next. Before laying, she inspects each cell. It must be clean, polished, and perfectly sized. If a cell doesn't meet her standards, she skips it. Eggs are tiny but visible to the naked eye, each about 0.06 inches long. Eggs laid by younger queens are typically larger and heavier than those of older queens. The number of eggs a queen lays varies by season. Initially, she lays about 100 eggs per day, a modest number. But as the weather warms and bees begin foraging for nectar-rich flowers, the hive receives fresh pollen, and the queen becomes a veritable egg-laying machine, producing about 1,000 eggs daily. At peak times, she can lay up to 2,000 eggs per day, and in exceptional cases, as many as 3,500. A queen's lifespan ranges from 3 to 5 years, sometimes longer, but rarely exceeds 7 to 8 years in the wild. Beekeepers often replace aging queens much sooner. But humans aren't the only ones who make this decision. The colony itself can. This is where the hive's collective intelligence shines. If the queen is sick or injured, workers will mercilessly kill her and prepare special cells to raise a new queen. The strongest new queen survives, eliminating her siblings to begin a new, endless reproductive cycle. Young bees, tasked with receiving nectar from foragers, kickstart the process of turning nectar into honey. Fresh nectar contains about 50% water, with varying consistency. Left untreated, it would ferment quickly. The process begins in the forager's honey stomach. Upon returning to the hive, the forager transfers nectar to a receiver bee, which sucks it up through a proboscis and continues processing it by chewing. The receiver bee repeatedly extends a nectar to the tip of its proboscis and swallows it. During this, enzymes in the bee's saliva break down complex sugars into simple ones, glucose and fructose. This process is repeated about 240 times for a single drop of nectar. Once processed, the nectar is placed in hive cells, but it's still not honey. To become honey, excess water must be removed. This is done by transferring the nectar between cells until the water content evaporates to about 21% of the volume, a process that takes 8 to 10 days. When the honey forms, it's still runny. Bees accelerate evaporation by fanning their wings. Hundreds of bees do this simultaneously. If you stand near a hive and hear a lively buzzing inside, it means the bees are fanning, not flying. Once the honey reaches a desired consistency, the bees seal the cells with wax. This wax cap acts as a quality seal, ensuring the honey remains unspoiled and airtight. Before sealing, the honey is enriched with enzymes and is nearly sterile. Through these processes, nectar truly becomes honey. In this state, honey can be preserved not just for years but for centuries, retaining its flavor and nutritional value. Typically, young bees age 15 to 18 days, not yet promoted to foragers, continue performing various tasks in a hive. They can switch roles and learn different jobs based on the colony's needs. Some bees even take on true military duties, guarding the hive. This is often one of the final tasks for young workers. But who are the hive's enemies? The wild is full of sweet-toothed predators, from wasps to countless other creatures, including bears. Many animals, especially birds, even consider bees themselves a tasty treat. Thus, some bees must serve as border guards to protect the hive. However, guard duty isn't permanent. Some bees guard for a day, others for a week. The age for joining this force ranges from 1 to 3 weeks old. A healthy colony typically has 10 to 20 guards, taking turns patrolling the hive's entrance. The defense mechanism works like this. Guard bees have excellent vision, but that's not their only tool. Bees use a friend or foe identification system based on smell. A bee's scent is like its passport, and each colony has a unique signature. Remember, a bee's antennae are its olfactory organs. Any suspicious individual is thoroughly inspected. Guards use their antennae to sniff and nearly touch the stranger. They identify colony members not just by scent, but also by behavior. Colony bees enter the hive confidently, while thief bees try to sneak in quickly to avoid detection. Even if a foreign bee has a valid scent passport, guards can still deny entry. When facing a serious threat, the entire colony goes on high alert. All workers temporarily become guards, ready to sacrifice themselves to protect the hive. If an emergency alarm is triggered, individual bees take positions around the entrance and perimeter, raising their abdomens to expose their stingers slightly while releasing warning pheromones. Soon after, more recruits swarm in to attack the intruder. Bees, with their remarkable collective intelligence, are not just a part of nature. They are a cornerstone of life on Earth. If bees were to vanish, nearly 90% of wild plants and 75% of staple crops would fail to pollinate, leading to global famine within 4 years. They not only build perfect hexagonal hives, but also maintain a complex society with clear division of labor, from the ceaselessly egg-laying queen to the tirelessly working females, to the males sacrificing themselves for the continuation of the species. In winter, they huddle together for warmth, surviving on stored honey and keeping the hive clean by holding off on waste elimination until spring. Bees don't recognize human existence, and to them, we may be just a fleeting phenomenon in the eternal flow of nature. But their presence reminds us that, despite their small size, bees are the great architects of the world, and our survival depends on them far more than we might imagine. And so, the story of the tiny bee kingdom comes to a close, leaving behind the soft, soothing hum of nature and the secrets of a small yet magnificent civilization. I hope the flutter of bee wings has gently guided you into the realm of dreams, where all worries melt away like drops of golden honey. Thank you for flying with me through this magical journey. Now, close your eyes and let the warmth of the hive and the rhythm of nature embrace you. Wishing you a peaceful sleep, deep and filled with dreams as sweet as honey. See you again in the next bedtime story.